Here are two modeled problems to learn how to write linear equations. So let's zoom in on the first one. And the first thing we do is we need to begin with the b, which means the b is the y-intercept. The y-intercept, here's the y-axis. The y-intercept is the point where the line intersects with the y-axis. So if I move along down the y-axis, it intersects right here. And that's at the number 1. So my b, down here, my b is 1. The next step is to find the m. Remember, m stands for slope. So to find slope, I need to find the rise over the run. So I would need to go along the line and find some really good points to rise and run from. So I need to make sure that they're crossing. This one's a little bit hard to see, but I think that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. And kind of the same pattern going down. So those look like pretty good intersection points. Now to find the slope, I'm going to rise over run. So I'm going to zoom in a little more here. So I'm going to draw a right triangle between any 2 points here. I'm going to pick 2 consecutive points. Now this is your choice here, but we're going to rise and run. Now all we have to do is count. So we're going to count how many does it rise? Rise is 1. And how many does it run? It runs 1. So my slope is the rise over the run. So my slope is 1 over 1, which would simplify to 1, because 1 divided by 1 is 1. All right, let me unzoom here, get this back in place. So my slope is a 1. Then the final step is to write the equation. So slope-intercept form, the equation is y equals mx plus b. So now we substitute in the m, which is 1, and the b, which is 1, into this equation. So I'm just going to rewrite it over here. So it now becomes y equals 1x plus 1. And that is the equation of this graph. So find the b, find the m, and then substitute those numbers into the equation. Let's move on to number 2. We're going to do the same process. So begin at the b. So begin by looking at the y-axis. So we're looking at the y-axis and we're looking for that intersection point. Where does the line and the y-axis intersect? Right, make it a little bigger, right there. So the b, or the y-intercept, is -1 this time. Now, to find the slope, remember we said slope is rise over run. So let's find good points on the line, good intersection points. So as I move down the line, I see right there, that looks like a pretty good lattice point. And right here, let me slide that over a little bit, right here, and right there. So those are our good points. They intersect on the grid nicely. Now I'm going to make that right triangle. So let me zoom in a bit so we can get this right triangle on here. Pick 2 consecutive points. You can either go up and over or down and back. I might just go right here for these 2. Okay, now let's count. Rise over run. So what's going on here? It goes down 2. So that's -2. Down 2 on the rise, and then it runs 1. So rise over run, -2 over 1 for our slope. I also noticed that the line itself is negative, so that also reminds me that I need to have a negative in my answer for slope. Okay, so I got -2 over 1. I could simplify this and just say, or it's -2, but it's okay to have slope as a fraction. We actually prefer that. Okay, let's write the equation. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. And let's see, let's just put our numbers. We're going to put our m in. We're going to put this number in right here, and we're going to put our b in right over here. So it looks like this. Y equals, m was -2, or -2/1, x plus -1. So I could write it like that. Or if you wanted to write it more simplified, but also it's the same answer, y equals -2x. I was supposed to have a minus in there, minus -1. Okay, -1. So this would be the most simplified answer right here. And when I first wrote this down right here, I forgot to put that negative in. So be careful with your negatives. It's common to make mistakes like that. All right, good luck. Have all of that done. Try the practice problems. If you're struggling on the practice problems, I made a video that goes through all of those as well.